Yo, what's up, everybody? Bren here, back with Max, who just popped in right now. How you doing, Max?
Hey guys, hope everybody's well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
Busy.
Busy, busy. I'm guessing with the Bitcoin documentary. How's that been going this week?
Documentary's been going good. We had talks with the lawyers on the fund that we're building. Got a
Amazing.
call later today. I gotta actually break to do with a group of CPAs for Bitcoin for all their clients. So
Awesome, brother. Yeah, I mean, you told us a lot about the Bitcoin documentary, which we'll touch on a little bit here. Um, and then you haven't told us anything about the fund. I don't know if there's anything you can share about that. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I do see you guys in the chat. What's up, Mike? How you doing, brother? What's up, Wonka? What's up, Stand? What is up, Press? Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Back with another stream. Gonna go over a few things today. Obviously, the Trump wallet launched today. Bitcoin, ETH, Sol starting to pop up, just like we predicted a few streams ago, and a bunch of other stuff. So I hope everybody's having a great week. Max, now before we get into the stuff, do you want to tell people maybe who have just popped into the stream and by the way, if you guys are new, really appreciate you for coming on. We do these streams twice a week, Tuesday, 1 p.m. PST, and then Friday at a little bit earlier, 10 a.m. PST. We like to think of ourselves as like a one-stop shop for crypto meme coins majors, and then we have Max Crypto Six, aka Max, here with us, who has decades of experience in the TradFi world, also super early in Bitcoin to ETH, talking to us the last few months about this vision he has for crypto, not only just taking over TradFi, but a lot of our everyday life, where crypto technology is going to engulf the world. So we really appreciate you guys for being on here. Um, Make sure to like, comment, retweet the stream so we can get this out on the algo. We, like I said, we have this stuff on here that we're going to be talking about, but I want to hear what you guys have been up to this week. What have you been looking at? Has it been memes? Maybe something that you want us to look at in general. We're going to be checking the chat throughout the stream, um, to make sure we get to that. So I see in there's Eric Trump denied the Trump wallet. Yeah, we'll go over that here in a second. Best team six. Yes, I appreciate you, OX, for being on. Now, Max, maybe for the people who have just hopped on for the first time, or maybe they didn't hear last week, do you want to tell them one, a little bit about the Bitcoin documentary and what you guys are doing there,
sure,
and maybe what they can expect from that?
sure. Um, we're basically just telling the story that everybody in the world needs to hear. They need to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and how the process of price and belief will continue to work against them if they do not accept what's coming. Um, so while it sounds a little bit um, like a threat, people need to accept that you either accept what's coming or you're going to get run over by it. We've joked about how change happens very slowly and then overnight, and you don't want to be the overnight part, um, because it's expensive and has few options. That's just the way it works. Um, and I think a lot of people, I heard an interesting quote the other day: 95% of Bitcoin has already been mined, and 95% of the world does not own any of it. So think about that for a second. Um, and then think about this: there's only 992,000 wallets out of the entire world that own more than one Bitcoin. 992,000 wallets own more than one Bitcoin. Everybody else owns less. That's a pretty staggering number. Um, I think I think the name of the game is whatever extra money you want to stop seeing decline in value, buy Bitcoin.
Right
There are
on.
there are big forces working, and the train is gaining momentum.
Right on, makes sense. And you think you expect this documentary to be done in like the next few months, right?
Yeah, we're probably looking at late summerish, and should be should be hopefully very beneficial for anybody.
Awesome. Yeah, I know I'm excited for it, and everybody in here, if they've seen the few clips that Max has posted from his newsletter on his place and the stuff I've reposted, I assume it was a lot of the same people who worked on you with you in those last
Yep,
documentary you guys did.
yep,
You guys are in for a treat. Now, you say, Max, we talk about this, quite frequently, a big theme on this show. You say, for what's coming. Do you
yeah,
maybe have a short explanation for people who haven't heard this? Maybe can you explain what's coming for crypto, Bitcoin, next 10 years or so?
yeah. I think what you have to maybe consider in your mind is slowly everything around you is changing, and that includes money and how it moves and what it moves in and what we call it and how we hold it. And I think people need to recognize that in the world that's coming, if we're snapshot ourselves a couple years forward, and there's drones passing overhead, there's spots in a mall parking lot for drone parking. We called that about 5 years ago. Um, there are cars that pull up and leave people off and have no drivers. Workers arrive at construction sites, but they're not workers, they're robots. Think about it. You'll have a team of robots being driven by a car from Tesla that has no driver. That car will drop those 25 robots off at a construction site. They'll spend daytime building a building, and they'll know exactly what they're supposed to do. And no humans will be in danger of slabs of concrete falling on them. Sadly, it won't be bad if one of them gets crushed because you spend 20 grand and get another one. But at 8 o'clock, as the sun goes down, that same Tesla van is going to show up, and it's going to take those 25 workers over to, say, I don't know, maybe a mile of road on your local interstate that needs to be repaired or redone or re-asphalted or whatever. Just think of the ways that our world will change. And by the way, no humans did any of that, and many jobs got done, and it was robots, and they can work 24 hours a day. My point to all that is this: that world, that world will not have paper money. We will have long learned that paper money is an old vehicle, a vehicle that is not very productive, and a vehicle that we need to change. And we will have changed it.
Totally. Yeah. It's just like blockchain, essentially just the next evolution of money, the internet, all these different things. It's like I feel like we've seen new evolutions of these different things, like the internet, for example, these different phases of the internet or different phases of finance, but never like a technology, at least from what I've seen, that transforms all of these different things in one. So definitely, definitely makes a lot of sense. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. I was
Oh,
just, yeah.
oh, my bad. I don't know what that was. Maybe it was my producer, but either way, definitely in a world, totally makes sense in a world where everything's going to be robotic and automatic and AI. Crypto is just the next evolution. Now, somebody asked Max, what's the amount of Bitcoin people should own ideally right now? 0.038 Bitcoin. I've heard something along those lines.
I, I don't. I, the answer is different for everyone.
Yep.
My answer is as much as you can.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. As much as you can, like Max said, with the your extra money and everything. But yeah, there's some stuff I do want to get into. Like I said, make sure to like, retweet, comment on the stream. Go ahead and shoot Max a follow. We're gonna go ahead and get into. First of all, we'll just go into get into the major charts really quick. I think we said last stream again, just waiting for me. Really obvious corrective coil up chart wise for me on Bitcoin, similar to the one we saw back in May, early May, twice in May, around May 3rd down here, and then middle May here. Just lack of consolidation. Again, just comparing to these past coil upsize corrections, I think it's very obvious that in whether it be now straight from here, however long it takes, I do think we get a move up on the majors here pretty soon. ETH, even more obvious. I think we're again getting pretty quiet. Still a lot of like negativity, just a lot of people kind of falling asleep, like we were talking about. But I think the majors, simply just climb here. Very likely from here. Always possible that we get a bit more chop consolidation at the bottom of these corrections, like you saw here back in this one, you saw consolidation for about 6 or 7 days. We've been consolidating here at the low for about 4 or 5. So wouldn't be surprised if even from here, early week, end of the week, next week, who knows? I think the majors are gonna pop here. And once we break above this all time high that we've been talking about, we've been saying in the streams the last few weeks that very likely we're gonna struggle here for a while. And as you can see, we got this correction at the all time high. I think once we break through here, very likely see acceleration, probably straight to 150K, or at least over the next few months. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Same thing for Sol. And, I think what we're going to see this time is a lot of these alts that haven't run yet, the ones we've been talking about, like AVAX, for example, looking set up really nicely. You get the XRPs, stuff like this, I think are going to really move hard where they haven't. Maybe last year in past part of this cycle. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at, and we're already seeing memes, which we'll go over here in a second, start to move as well. But yeah, I think majors move up here in the short term and on all time frames. I've been very adamant the last few weeks, super bullish, not only in the long and mid and long term, which we talk a lot about out here, but even in the short term, the next 6 months. I think that Bitcoin, because of everything lining up with countries getting ready to buy. You still got big institutions starting to come in and buy not only Bitcoin, but start to get strategies to acquire ETH and these other coins. Um, you got regulatory clarity, all these different things. I think it's setting up for probably like the one of the strongest, if not the strongest period crypto's ever seen. So super bullish on the not only the long, midterm, but the short term as well. And now, Max, I know you're not a super, on the short term price action. Who knows what happens? But as far as just the overall sentiment and how people are reacting, what are you seeing here? People are like lulled to sleep. I mean, what are your overall thoughts on like the last few weeks in Bitcoin?
Oh, I think a whole bunch of the crowd is checked out.
Yeah,
They've checked out for summer. They've checked out of boredom. They've checked out because they don't like that it doesn't go up, $5,000 a week. um, but I think a very large part of the market has stopped paying attention, and you know that'll that'll come back when price rises.
yeah. And you think that's obviously anything could happen, but you think that's well above all time highs? Is usually how it goes down.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I think we're. I think Sailor said the other day, if you bought it all time highs, you got a discount.
Yeah, 100%. What's up, Crypto Comrade? How you doing? And Apple High Labs. What's up, Jeremy? Yeah, so I think majors going to bottom out and climb higher here very likely soon. And yeah, I think it's going to carry on to memes stuff we're already seeing. Today, just a little bit of stuff with the Trump crypto wallet. You saw here. I'll share this tab. Um, you saw Magic Eden come out in this wallet, Trump wallet. It looks like they're partnered with the meme coin Trump team itself. Talking about you can get rewards, and then you got what's his name, Eric Trump, coming out and saying, we're not, we have nothing to do with this. The World Liberty Fi, which is him and Donald Jr. and Eric, they have nothing to do with it. They're going to do their own wallet, which has a lot of people talking on the timeline, like, what's this mean? For me, in my experience, I was involved a little bit with like the DJT, the first Trump meme coin, kind of, and talking to people who talked to the Trumps personally and just different stuff I've heard. I think what's going down here is that Donald, and again, this is just my opinion, what I see. I think Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are kind of doing their own thing with World Liberty Fi, and then Barron and whoever else involved with the other coin are doing their own stuff, and probably with this Magic Eden thing, they wanted to come out. From what I've heard, that the Trump family, the brothers, they like kind of divided on certain things, right? There you have Barron, who's like super young, and then the older ones. I think maybe the Trump team, whether Barron's involved or whoever, tried to rush it out before um, the other brothers came out with theirs. But I think it's interesting to see. You have the same kind of family, but whether if the brothers are divided or whoever involved, there's just not everybody's on the same team always, or on the same page always with things. But I think mostly this is a nothing burger. It's just again just a promotion and just a partnership with this. I don't know how popular what this is going to be. I think it's just another example of Trump, moving more into the crypto space and showing that that he's serious with everything that he's with doing all these different things. Just another venture he's doing in the Web3 space with the meme coin, crypto, NFTs, now a wallet. Um, but yeah, let me see the comments here. Yeah, Pump Fund will make a token sale at four billion valuation. Any thoughts on this? Pump Fund. Yeah, no, I think that's probably whether they make their own chain or token. That's probably the eventual end game. I think they would do. I don't really have any thoughts. I think I don't know how they do who they do the airdrop to or what, but yeah, I think it's inevitable eventually going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if they do their own chain and stuff eventually as well. Um, Great interview with Eric Trump on why he got into Bitcoin and crypto. Uh, Due to deep banking, what do you say, Max?
That was a good interview.
Oh yeah, you saw it.
But I would. It wasn't really an interview. The CNBC guys kept trying to interrupt him, and a couple times he said, "Let me finish." That was great.
Did that just come out the last few days?
That was like the last 24 hours.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right on. Um, Due to debanking the experience with DJT got into politics. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, do you have any thoughts on the wallet thing? Do you think it's just another, like I said, just another venture that the Trumps are doing with crypto?
I think you know a lot of this stuff you just have to let sort of flow by you, and not everything is something, right? It's not everything is worth your time trying to figure out what it means.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're already seeing a lot of the meme coins start to move up. SPX 6900. For me, I think yeah, SPX obviously going to move up. I think this is what a lot of the great meme coins are going to start to do soon. I think SPX is just leading. We're already seeing SPX, Giga, Mog, all the good ones. Fartcoin pulling back a little bit. But I think, this is the name of the game, whether for me, SPX, Gigamog, ticker Bitcoin, I think all of those are just in the greatest sweet spot, the greatest risk to reward, maybe in crypto in general, but especially in meme coins, to where, if you pull up Giga, for example, I'm not even sure. Pull up Giga, for example, I think just back to all time highs is like a 4 or 5x. If it does a 2x above the all time highs, that's a 10x there. I think these are in a great sweet spot to where they're in great corrections. If you believe that crypto is going to go on this huge wave, meme coins are going to follow along with it. I think these are great risk to reward bets where you're going to get very likely 5 to 10x gains plus, with already pulling back 50 to 75%. Of course, it could go down further, but I think they're in a great spot. So these are the ones I've been focusing on. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but looking back, if these coins 5 to 10, 20x plus, it'll be worth it just focusing on the few that you have very high conviction in. So for me, SPX, Giga, Mog, ticker Bitcoin. For you, it might be Fartcoin, fucking, whatever it is. Um, I think there's just countless, like 10, 20 coins that are, 5 to 10x potential from here from just from staying patient. So I want to hear what you guys have been buying though. What are some coins you want us to look at? And just in general questions. BlackRock selling Bitcoin for ETH, is that a good sign for altcoins? Um, I'm not sure. They're not selling Bitcoin for ETH.
Oh, Bitcoin. They're not selling Bitcoin.
Yeah. If they do, if there ever is like outflows, it's not to buy ETH. I don't think. I'm not sure where you saw that. What catalyst could push Bitcoin past 200K in 2025, as some predict, and how sustainable is that? Is that meme?
More acceptance. That's the catalyst.
Yeah,
You got states, governments, sovereign funds. Every big player in the world is studying their input into BTC. Um, some are smart enough to understand that if they wait too long, everybody else who's studying will cause them to pay more. So you're going to get this effect where I don't know, three or four layers of them decide all at once that, oh wait, I gotta buy before the other guys buy. Um, and they're going to act like a herd of cattle, and they're going to try to get out of the gate. And that usually is fun to watch, but it's not good for price if you're on the wrong side of it. So uh, pray for everybody to figure out what it means, because the numbers will get very large very quick. I have a feeling we're gonna learn over time that maybe I don't know, 10 or 15 days a year are important, and the other 340 days you get to be pretty bored and talk yourself into 48 things that aren't really happening because some line didn't get crossed on the right time or got crossed late or went over by X% or nobody. I mean, it's just nutty what people gyrate their minds through. But at the end of the day, when we look back on this, we're going to realize that there's maybe 15 days a year that you got to be invested, and you can't guess those 15 days in advance, which means you got to invest all the time. One of those days could be tomorrow. Bitcoin could go up 30 grand tomorrow. Some sovereign wealth fund says, "Hey, guess what? We just bought 5% of Bitcoin." Well, you better hope you owned it before that instead of wondering what the catalyst might be.
yeah, and like we've gone over before, a lot of the time, at least in the stock market, those big days, like you said, like where a sovereign wealth fund announces something or whatever,
Yeah,
happen within the worst days. So it's like whether that happens or not, trying to guess whether that timing like is just just trying to time it is just not smart. And then to touch on what you're saying, I think what most people are discounting, they're still just focused on price, like where Bitcoin price is going to be at, which is great. But most people are failing to realize like this is the cycle. I think God willing, like where we get adoption of the actual technology, right?
right,
Which
right.
is going to make sure these assets that we're all invested in not only go up, but are going to be here for fucking 10, 20 years, 30 years we can pass down to our kids. Like, I think that's what everybody's missing. And it's because I don't blame them. Like everybody's heard for years, like, oh, mass adoption, whatever. But people are failing to realize like it's really here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think people are impatient. They humans are generally weak individuals, and they want things very quickly. And if they don't have it, they stop. They stop watching. So that'll be the mistake. Is your ability to be patient is going to be who decides the winner and the loser.
100%. Juicy Play says ETH meme pump before Soul memes. Yeah, I wouldn't stick so much to those like, oh, memes have to pump before Soul memes. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Same kind of thing with everybody always says, oh, like ETH traders, or I'm sorry, people who trade on Sol or Jeets, or like they're like they sell everything so quickly. I think people are just people, man. I think obviously the gas fees and a lot of stuff like incentivize a lot of different things, but generally I think the same people who are trading on ETH are the same generally as the people trading on Sol, and a lot of them are the same fucking 10,000 people anyway. So sometimes that does happen, but I would I wouldn't pay too much attention to that.
I
Do you
would
think
I would say that keep this in mind. About 90% of the times that you say to yourself, "Hey, I wonder what this means." This being some headline or event or dumb little thing that just happened. The answer is nothing. So train yourself to realize that very few things mean something. Very, very few. Just like very few days every year are going to make you all your money. That's just the conundrum that we face when we accept investment. That's just the way it works. I wish it was exciting every day, but it isn't. In fact, a lot of days it's downright boring, and you really shouldn't pay attention to anything. So you have to believe, you have to have a pathway, you have to have a structure in your mind, and you have to buy as much as you can and wait. That's it. It sounds simple, but it's very, very difficult making things simple.
it's simple but not easy? Um,
Right.
it's very simple in concept, like on paper, but it's trust me, that's why everybody. If you ask most people in crypto, like, are you bullish on Bitcoin long term? Most people are going to say yeah, but they'll get knocked out because of some tariff bullshit or whatever else. And it's definitely way easier said than done. And that's why you just gotta live through these times, and it gets you get more numb to it. But what's it called? M Brains asked about whiff, right? Okay, so whiff, me personally, I own very little whiff. I don't maybe a tiny bit. For me, a lot of people have been counting out whiff completely. They're like, oh, it's dead, blah blah blah. Yes, it did come down 95%. But I think what we're gonna end up seeing in this crypto, like digital asset super cycle, is that most stuff, especially stuff that had as big of a community and mind share and stuff as whiff, are gonna pop. And I think especially how impulsive this move already has been, 3x off the lows. Very good chance whiff continues to float up and probably goes back to all time highs. And I think whether for me, whiff is not one of the ones I've been buying. I think not what I've been focused on for sure, but there is something to say that when everybody counts something out, like everybody says this coin's dead, if you believe in the coin, like that's the time to buy. Like you can't tell you like even in February, March, everybody was saying, "Oh, whiff, of course it's not going to come back. Like it's old, blah blah blah." I think that was the time to buy, and I still think, again, because of how big the community is and whatever, it probably does continue to go up. So it's not one I've been buying. I haven't been keeping track with anything with community or whatever. But I think there's something to be said um, to when everybody is has that one conclusion. I think that was the time to buy a few months ago. But other than that, I don't have really any strong opinion with how impulsive this is looking. Probably a good chance that if the entire crypto market, Bitcoin, ETH, memes as a whole start to rip here, which I think great chance they do, WIF probably continues to float up, right? Is it one of the stronger ones and it goes back to all time highs? I think there's a good chance, but I don't really have a strong opinion on that. WIF going to at least 420 again, yeah, I could see it. I mean, from what I've seen in past cycles, when stuff like Bonk or these coins that are like the ones that dominate, they have little lulls, and then they rip back sometimes strong and recover just as much dominance as they had in the past. But again, I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion on specifically on whiff this time. That's the key. Stay patient and strong. Yep. Yep. How many memes are ideal or too much? For me, I always suggest I probably have 10 or 12 memes that I have accumulated most like bigger positions. I always suggest anywhere between like 5 and 15 to have like a good portfolio, like a whatever, like no more than that though. I don't think smart to have 20, 30, 50, whatever positions that you're watching, and then at the same time you don't want to go all in on one or two or even three. So I think the sweet spot for me that might be different for you is like 5 to 15, and like make those the one that you really get involved with and know everything about and have the most conviction in. For me, that's what's worked. What do you think about Trump? Do you think he is trying to manipulate the whole thing again? Uh,
No, no,
no. Yeah, I think we've been talking about adamant that like
kind
you
of
know
that's beating a dead horse.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's running the country. He's not thinking about meme coins.
Yeah, it's about legacy. It's about more than just making a few $1 million.
And Bren, just so you know, in a minute or two, I may have to break for a call.
No worries.
Just to give you a heads up.
Pop back in whenever you can or if you can.
Yep.
Hope US buys Bitcoin soon. Yeah, I mean they've been talking a lot about it before. They've been
Well, the good news is Texas has theirs on governor's desk, and Florida is right behind them.
beautiful.
I told you months ago the two states that would be first would be Florida and Texas.
Yep, that's awesome. So yeah, just waiting on Abbott or he's still governor, right?
Yep.
He just waiting on him to sign.
Yeah, he's a big supporter, so he's certainly going to sign.
Great, great. Um,
But he's probably making sure nobody knows it. He's probably going to sign it and then go buy some before he announces that he signed it. If he was smart, that's what he would do.
yep. What do you think about the Say ecosystem? Haven't been focused on or haven't been looking at Say, but let's look at the coin. Yeah, I mean, is Say what's the market cap of Say now? Uh, Say, sorry, I think whenever I open Coin Market Cap, it always like freezes my computer up. Say though. So Say is at 1 billion market cap, which puts it at the number. What is it? Number 71. Still puts it in the top 100. Yeah, I mean, generally, I haven't been keeping up with the Say ecosystem. You'd assume it's like 4 or 5 top, top five, top 10 chain. I'm more of a, AVAX, Sol, ETH, a little bit of Sui. Haven't really been keeping up with Say. With that being said, I think most of the stuff in the top 100 will do well, including a lot of these 4 or 5, 5 through 10 top L1s, right? So don't really haven't been keeping up, like I said, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Say rip with the rest of the market. Um, but I have not been keeping up with Say at all. Always train myself for that Big Max. Yeah. 797 people in here, views, whatever, in the first 35 minutes. I love you guys. Make sure to like, comment, tweet, retweet, bookmark. I read recently the bookmark is really important on Twitter now for like the algorithm and the new algorithm they have. So I really always appreciate you guys doing that. Now, generally, I want to catch up on your guys' comments first. The people who trade on ETH are more responsible and they don't cheat as much. Yeah, I mean, you could argue, like I said, the fees incentivize certain behavior, but at this or like force certain type of behavior at points. But I don't know if it really reflects too much in in people's I don't know. I think generally people are the same on both chains. Can Ethereum L2 growth and 1 billion blob gas fees help ETH surpass 1 Bitcoin in growth ratio by 2026? That's a great question, Bag Berserker. So for me, my background is not in the tech side at all. I've watched a lot of interviews with smart people kind of on that side to kind of grasp as much as I can, um, you know, as I can from this different thing. And what if I understand is for a long time the L2, like the L2s were Ethereum's roadmap to scale ETH like long term. That 95% of the activity was going to be on the Ethereum L2s eventually, which obviously is Base, Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync. You have a few of the other ones, Now, from the videos I've been watching on Bankless and reading tweets from different devs and stuff, I think they're going towards more like a hybrid model where they are gonna obviously gonna use the L2s, but also scale, the L1 as well. It's gonna be kind of more of a hybrid thing. There's a lot of debate between that now, but generally, I think I think generally trusting it in the devs and Ethereum long term has always, been smart, and a lot of the times they take years to ship things, but I think that's good for good reason. And generally, I don't understand all the little things behind all the tech side, but I trust these guys that they eventually will they figure everything out. And I think the smartest minds in the world are working on Ethereum and Sol and stuff as well. And now you have these big institutions stepping in and giving their resources and betting on these chains. So I think it's generally going to be figured out. Do I know exactly how to explain it or how exactly it's going to go down? No, but I genuinely think that like I said, smartest minds in the world are working on Ethereum. I think it's essentially going to, and I put out this tweet yesterday. I think it's essentially going to like Mog like all of finance. It sounds crazy, but like how this vision we've been talking about where um, Ethereum and blockchain and Solana and all the blockchain in general is just going to disrupt so many different industries at once. Like I'm talking about like finance, obviously with decentralized finance, it takes away the middleman, makes finance like democratized where anybody in the world with an internet connection or whatever can like access it. Collectibles, it's going to make the collectible market, RWAs, gaming, all these different things better at once. That I think Ethereum going to be the main chain that's going to be done on. Um, I think whether it takes a couple years or whatever, there's going to be problems, like there is with anything. But generally, I think the devs and stuff will figure it out, and I think ETH is going to go way fucking higher from here. And short term, long term, mid term, like I'm extremely bullish. So to answer your question, I know that was a long rant, but I think the devs are going to figure it out, like they always do. Just got to be patient. Buying under $1 for whiff was good a couple weeks ago. Yeah, you got a nice 3x off that. Joe is all you need. Let's look at Joe. What's up, Mr. Yellow XBT? And what's this thing does is it shows me where does it? Fucking it what's up? It shows me your guys's at, but it doesn't show me your like name on there. So sometimes I recognize the picture, but then your name is different. But anyways, what we're gonna look at Joe. Is Joe on TradingView? Yeah, does it look at Joe says USDT? Oh wait, there's a different Joe. Let's look at this one. Um, Joe. Haven't looked at Joe in a bit. Joe coin, 23 million still. Okay. So I think generally Joe's correcting. I think what we're gonna see is the overall meme coin market is gonna get a huge wave, bigger than anything we've seen so far. And I'll tell you why is because all of these waves just on Joe Coin from 2023 have all been fueled by 90% just crypto people. Of course, there's been new people joining little by little, but November of 2024 was the closest thing we've seen to like normies actually coming in. I don't know if you guys remember TikTok. There was a few TikTok coins, whatever, around that time, right before the Trump coin launched. There was like a big inflow of normies, right? Besides that, all of these moves the last 4 or 5 years have been all crypto native or crypto Twitter native, like the few same people trading. I think what's going to end up happening because of Bitcoin going so crazy, because of regulatory clarity, all these different things, that meme coins are going to get a giant rip because of these normies are going to eventually come in, just like they did in 2018, just like they did in 2020, 2021. It's going to happen in 2025, 2026, whenever it happens, probably sooner than later. I think stuff like Joe Coin, even though it's a little bit older, whatever, it's not a top 10 mindshare coin, I think is going to rip. So This is actually a really nice corrective channel as well. You got some really nice corrective behavior. Yeah, it's down. It was down. What is this? 80% at one point, but I mean, typical meme coin correction on the higher time frames. So Joe Coin, another one I haven't been, admittedly, haven't been paying too much attention to. But I think chart wise, because of it has supply distribution through multiple big ass corrections, I think what's very likely we're going to see is another repeat of this back in last year, where Joe corrects and then moves higher. So yeah. Yeah, I agree. When they FUD, buy at the lows. Joe breaking out of 600-day range. Yeah, Joe looks good, bro. Memes and crypto, I feel like, is the largest sector. Yeah, memes are going to be where the always, or for at least the foreseeable future, going to be where most of the capital comes in from, like the new capital. Like new people are going to, or most of the new people coming into crypto are going to gravitate to meme coins. A lot of them then go on to learn about Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this other shit, NFTs. So yeah, that's I think that'll remain that way. And nowadays, I think we have a meme coin ecosystem where a lot of there's actually good communities, long term communities. It's different than 2021, where it was Doge, Shib, and then a bunch of pump and dumps, essentially. What's your opinion on the upcoming pump fund launch, mass extraction incoming? I haven't. So, let's see, pump fund. Honestly, haven't been reading too much about it the last few days. But Punt Fund, yeah, plans a $1 billion token. Okay, this was just the last like 30 minutes since we've been on the stream. Pump Fund to raise $1 billion and launch their own token. Okay, yeah, not surprised. I mean, they've been raking in so much from fees. I think this was the next step. The next evolution is that they're going to start their own token and probably their own chain, right? That way, it's just what is it going to be valued at? I'd imagine if they tie it into some kind of fee mechanism where, I heard recently they're going to give, fees back to holders. If there's some type of, what's it called, yield or whatever, I think, it could do very well. What happens at the very beginning, if they airdrop a bunch of money, to hold like users, like the top 10 users, get a big airdrop, then you may see some volatility at the beginning. That's what you see is these big airdrops. Almost always, there's going to be some type of washout, either right away, after a few weeks, after a few months. So I don't think it'll be immune to that. But let's say a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, does it become a massive token? Possibly. Either way, I think it just points to everything's going to be tokenized. Every app's going to have a token. Um, and yeah, I think we're just moving into a world where fucking everything's going to be tokenized, especially in crypto. Why would the biggest app in the world, Pump Fund, or the biggest fee generator on Solana, I assume most of the time, right? Uh, why would it? Why would it not have its own coin? Why would they not rake in on all those fees and all that stuff? It's just not surprised. But who knows what happens right away? Obviously, if you can get a nice airdrop, great. If we somehow get a nice 50, 60% correction and whatever, we're able to buy it pretty cheap, then that'd be great too. But who knows what happens out of the gate? BlackRock buying E3. Oh, yeah, no, I think BlackRock buying ETH, the inflows going up is obviously a good thing. Are we in a crypto and NFT super cycle or not? Great question, brother. So yeah, I put out another tweet today saying that both meme coins and NFTs are setting up to go nuts. Imagine if the 2020 crypto bull run happened at the same time as the 2021 NFT mania. I think that's what's coming in 25, 26 digital asset super cycle, right? Yeah, no, I think that's what's coming. I think again, I'm a broken record, but all the regulatory clarity, all these things lining up, these big 6 month correction, we're seeing not only that in crypto, but in NFTs. You're starting to see in each individual project, pudgies, all these different things. A lot of the rares and a lot of the a lot of the whales and stuff are accumulating. You see a lot of the new projects, Good Vibes Club. Um, a lot of these coins that came out the last few months start to actually do well. I think there's a lot of signs, both in supply distribution, all these different things pointing to an NFT bull run. I think what's going to end up happening is which one goes crazy first. Who knows? Crypto could go crazy for a year and then NFTs pop off. Other way around, who knows? But I think we're going to get a point at sometime next year due to both of these markets bubbling up to a great regulatory environment where founders of meme coins and NFTs are going to be able to do cool shit without like the government like on their back, like doing, shutting them down. I think that's going to enable a time where both NFTs and crypto are popping off at the same time, where you're going to have an NFT bull run and a crypto bull run simultaneously. I think that's what I see happening. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I think both the convergence of meme coins and NFTs, aka what I like to call meme coin NFTs, that's also going to be fucking explosive. I think those are going to produce a lot of great gains. I'm talking the Sproto Gremlins, the Project Aeons. Um, primarily, I think those ones in the meme coin NFT game are going to end up, doing the best out of the gate at least because they have the supply distribution amongst a couple years almost for Sproto Gremlins, and then Aeons, a year plus as well. And then you got the Fwog NFT, like I have the Pond. There's not too many meme coin NFTs out yet, but we're starting to see coins like Turbo, the old. See, this is the Pond NFT, which is my PFP. Stuff like that. There's not too many out yet, but Turbo, for example, you guys remember Turbo, the coin that came out around the same time as Pepe. They just launched an NFT project, the Turbo Toads, which I think this is just a sign they're kind of an early pioneer of this concept of you know having NFTs, the convergence of NFTs and meme coins. Like people in meme coin communities are going to want a digital tokenized representation of their favorite community, right? People already have the what's it called, like the Mishi cat or the whiff cat or the Mog glasses, stuff like that. People are going to want, it's just going to be a natural fit having a digital tokenized representation of that. Obviously not every project's going to do it. Like I don't see Mog ever doing one. I don't see, a lot of these projects do, but I think a lot of these projects will, and it's a natural fit for the NFT collection and the meme coin collection in one. And I don't know if you guys saw recently, OpenSea actually allows you to buy the token of the meme coin. For example, this is obviously Bored Ape, but let's just go to the Turbo collection I'm talking about. I thought this was super sick. That you have the Turbo collection, Turbo Toad collection I was talking about. You can now go to tokens on OpenSea, and it has the token attached to it where you can buy right on OpenSea the token. So I think if the connection and the relationship between the NFT collection and the coin itself are going to be like a kind of symbiotic, to where if the NFT collection gets big, it's going to bring up the coin and vice versa. So yeah, I think that's a, if you're kind of looking for some alpha or maybe like some really undervalued stuff that people aren't paying attention to, maybe look at meme coin NFTs. For me, I've been buying, I have 4 or 5 Sprotos. I have 5 Sprotos now, and then a few Aeons. Um, I think looking at that and at least paying attention to that is probably a good idea because I think it's going to be big. Tariff news or old news, right? Right down the market barely reacts. Yeah, last week you said we're gonna have a new special guest. Yeah, so yeah, my boy Gambler, who I showed you guys last stream. A lot of you guys probably know him. Let me go ahead and I know a lot of you guys do. He's going to be on starting this week as a co-host slash friend. This guy's great energy. He's ran a lot of Twitter Spaces. Just a great overall guy, good friend of mine. So definitely going to have him on to bring a lot of good stuff to the show. So definitely shoot him a follow. Go ahead and check him out. Glad you brought that up, on the RWA sector, Bren, there's a good project called Crypto Autos that's bridging the Web 2, Web 3 car industry. Interesting. I'll go ahead and check that out, brother. I appreciate that, Ember. Wow, this is good, boss. Yeah. There's not a chart better than Joe on ETH right now. Yeah, Joe looks good, bro. I agree. How will celebrity back meme coins, e.g., Elon, impact the 25-26 crypto market? I think, I think we're gonna see a lot of brands. This could take a while. I don't know. Maybe it's a couple years off. Maybe it's a year off. Like brands like Nike, for example, or whatever, launch tokens attached to product lines to brands in general, and then naturally you're going to see a lot of celebrities do the same thing. There's going to be a lot of scams. Most of it's going to be grifting. A lot of it's going to be cash grabs. With that being said, I don't think we're going to have a world forever where the only celebrities launching crypto products are going to be like washed up celebrities who need a bag. I think you're going to see a lot as the industry grows and as tokenization becomes legitimized in the public eye. I think you're going to see a lot of legitimate celebrities launch, whether it be a fungible coin or an NFT that gives people access to whatever else, right? I think a lot of that has to be hashed out, but overall, I think a lot of it will be cash grabs, just like a lot of stuff in crypto is cash grabs. But with that being said, Berserker, I think there's going to come a time where you're going to see actual celebrities and brands and stuff do it the right way. Who knows how far off that is? I don't know, but generally, yeah, I think that's how I see it. The chart is looking promising. Yeah, Joe pre SPX breakout. Yeah. Okay, good question. If BlackRock is bullish on ETH, 10K is just a few months away. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm super bullish on ETH on all time frames, man. I think it's really going to pull away from the other three majors, and once it breaks above 4,000, above that like 5 year high, it's really going to like enter. A lot of people are going to enter a whole new paradigm and realize, okay, like ETH's not only back, but it's gonna go crazy. I think a lot of people are just assuming they see the last 4 years. This is all they're zoomed in on, and once we break that 4,500 number, I think it's quickly gonna go to 7,000, 10,000, etc. I mean, generally, my view for crypto in general right now, a lot of people are focused on, oh, when's the cycle top? We're in the year 4 of the cycle. When's the top? The top. I think what we're seeing is countries are buying, regulatory clarity. You're seeing institutions buying all this different shit that's completely different. ETFs, all this shit is completely different than every other cycle. We're already seeing the price action be completely different, where we're seeing these long drawn out corrections instead of up only. I'm just saying, why should we expect it to be the same as 2021 and 2020, where we get this perfect 4 year cycle top? What I think is most likely to happen is that crypto enters more of a 4 year cycle, like where the 4 year cycle is over, where yes, we're going to get these big corrections along the way, just like we got this year, just like we got last year and the year before, but where we don't get that massive 50, 75% correction on Bitcoin that a lot of people are expecting. So I think that's going to be the surprise, is that we're going to go into next year. Bitcoin's not going to have topped out 75, 50%. We're going to go into 2026 and people are going to be like, oh, wait, fuck, the 4 year cycle's over. We're in a whole different era, right? I think that's what most people aren't realizing is probably going to happen. So I'm super bullish on the next few months. I think what's most likely to play out is there's going to be scary, quote unquote, scary, like corrections that knock people out, like we saw last year and this year. But generally, I think we're going to go in more of an upward trajectory, and enter this quote unquote like digital asset super cycle that I always talk about. And all that really means is it sounds like this fucking magical like utopia, like, which whatever, cryptos, it's going to be exciting, but all super cycle means is that we no longer see a 4 year cycle where Bitcoin doesn't top out and go down 50 to 75%, where we go into year 5, 6, 7 with no major top in Bitcoin and we just keep grinding higher, kind of like how the S&P 500 and these other stock indexes have over the last 10 years, right? Like, I think crypto is going to look more like this over the next 10 years. um Over this, like the next 10 years, um, where how long was I not sharing my screen? Anyway, um, I think crypto is going to look more like this over the next 10 years, where The S&P 500 since 2009, you see how it's just kind of up only. I'll go to the monthly. It's been more like up only, right? It's been up only with like big dips, like 40-50% dips, but they're very quick. Like we saw a dip here, we saw a dip during COVID, saw a dip in 2022, we saw a big dip last month, but it just keeps grinding higher. I think that's what Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, the majors start looking like over the next 5-10 years. ETH to the moon. Um, Yo, thanks, Bren. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Bag Berserker, yeah, good news indeed. Yeah, I wish I could recover my name as a handle. Yeah. 95% of crypto people. Wow, that's amazing. Just catching up with your guys' chat comments here. See. What's up, still tripping? How you doing, brother? Tell me something you guys want to look at. Questions, comments. We can go ahead and the last week, it's been the Trump wallet, mostly, the Bitcoin going up. As things heat up here, anybody who's been around in crypto for a while, during these times it's super quiet. It seems like nothing's happening, super slow, and then all of a sudden 1 week there's a fucking million. You can't even blink without something happening. So just know that if you're here right now, you're learning, you're whether you're tapped in with this stream or whatever, like you're here learning, putting in the work, like trying to at least be, just be involved. Like it's gonna pay off long term. Like that's what I found for me. So shout out to you if you're involved, even though stuff's slow. I guarantee you the stuff that you're learning right now is for me at least has been the most like transformational. So uh you're doing a great work. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I've been getting low ball bids on my crypto kitty since 2024. Something's brewing. Yeah, I have not been looking at crypto kitties at all either. I'm not an expert on that, but I'd imagine I think there's going to come a time. I like how DC Investor, for you guys who don't know, DC Investor, super smart guy. I think he always talks about how there's probably going to be like a NFT bull run that's coming up, and like there always is with these assets. But long term, he thinks over the next 10, 20, 30 years that a lot of these early crypto or crypto art, like including crypto kitties and a lot of the art stuff, are going to be like digital artifacts, like relics, kind of like stuff was in the old world, right? The physical stuff. So yeah, I'd imagine crypto kitties, just because of the importance, will do well. Now I know crypto kitties is actually a really high supply, so I know that. So obviously not everything's going to be valuable, but I imagine certain pieces in the crypto kitties are going to do well. And I think typically we'll go over NFTs here in a second. I'm glad you brought that up. Meme coin NFT cycle. Yes, exactly. Very impressive. Appreciate it. Did you see Colts? You launch a token and it posts it. People that reply get a personalized NFT PFP. Send me a link of that. I want to pull that up. Can't wait to meet Gambler. Yeah, Gambler's a fucking cool cat. With 30 billion of NFT trading in 2025, can GameFi or physical goods spark a crypto supercycle? Yes, great fucking question. Again, dude, Bag Berserker, you're on fire. By the way, I'm gonna do a USDC giveaway at the end of the stream, like we do every week. So I'm gonna do I'll do a USDC giveaway for both somebody in the chat who I feel like is really really what's it called, contributing to the stream today, or and then two, somebody who comments on somebody in the comments of this post as well, in this one, the original stream post, which again we're coming up on 988 views, almost 1,000, only an hour in. Fucking love you guys. Again, right now, been a little bit of a quiet week, but still doing these streams. Gonna still do it twice a week. Like I said, Tuesday, Friday, Friday a little bit earlier at 10 a.m. PST. Not getting off right now. I'll be on for at least 30 minutes or so longer. But yeah, Tuesdays, Fridays, we're gonna start doing Twitter streams. I'm sorry, Twitter Spaces as well. I'll have my boy Gambler help me with those. And then something that people have been asking about for a while, my boy Boss Man, my business partner, good friend Boss Man, and I were going to start actually doing some streams as well. Obviously, you guys all know him. Going to do Boss and Bren's streams as well. So look out for those. Just for me, name of the game. I'm just trying to put out as much content as I can on the different side. I've been really focused the last 8 or 9 years on really investing and learning as much as I can, and in the trading and investing side. Now, just along with that, still doing that, but just focusing a lot on the content, which is really new to me. I've been really heavy on Twitter for 5 years now, but really starting to branch out to the other platforms. For example, the Instagram that I just started. If you guys are on Instagram, go ahead and follow me at instagram.com/brentrades with one S, and shoot me a DM. I'll definitely follow back anybody who's on the streams. On there, I'm going to be posting um, a lot of some trade setup stuff like that, but a lot of curating a lot of the creators and the information that's helped me, and then some IRL stuff as well. So definitely check that out, and just really appreciate you guys being on. If you guys could like, retweet, comment on the streams, and DM me or whatever, anything that you guys want to see. Again, we want this to be like a one-stop shop for meme coins, NFTs, crypto, a lot of the information and value that Max brings as well. So any suggestions, totally open to. I just want this stream to be as great as it can be, and couldn't do it without you guys. Honestly, I wouldn't even be here. This is something I wanted to do for a very long time. So really appreciate the opportunity to have all you fucking lovely people here every week. No one is talking about Bitcoin CME gap again. Yeah, I mean CME gaps are they happen. I don't think that I think I can show you CME gaps, for example, that have been open for years. Like on Nvidia, Max showed me a CME gap that's been open since the 90s or something. So while CME gaps could maybe be a little bit of an icing on top of your analysis, I don't think you should base your analysis like, oh, there's a CME gap down at 105, therefore, it has to go back down there, because it doesn't. It really doesn't. Now, if you think, okay, I think Bitcoin's going down to 95K because of this consolidation and this, that, and the other, and then there's a CME gap to kind of back that up, that's another thing. So like, for example, I think the 92K gap on CME Bitcoin didn't even close, if I'm not mistaken. Um, right? I think there was one down like down here that didn't close. Yeah, I think there was down one down here that didn't close. So yeah, I to answer your question, I wouldn't count on gaps. Really, I don't really look at them too much in general. ETH is primed for something higher. Yep, 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 yep. Bitcoin to the moon, absolutely. Ride the wave, Brett. Yeah, let's go and look at Brett for you, bro. Yeah, generally, guys, I think just picking your 5 to 10 coins that you love. For me, I think the no-brainer 5 to 10 plus X gain, 5 to 10X plus gains are going to come from the SPX, Giga, Mog, Fart coins, etc. But I think there's a 10 to 20 other coins that will do the same thing. It's from you just kind of finding those coins. I think Brett, for example, I haven't really been keeping up too much with it, but I think Brett has enough mind share that it probably does pop. Maybe it gets a Coinbase listing eventually. Damn, I hate this chart. Give me a second. Damn it. Uh, Brett. Fuck. This chart is effed up. Let's go to this one. Should be a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, still not much price action on this one. Let's go to Coinbase, actually. I'm sorry. Let's go to TradingView, actually. Hopefully this will be better. Bybit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, this is a lot better. Now, what is it down? Down at one point was down 90. Now it's down about 75. Yeah, I think generally a lot of stuff during these, like, after these corrections bounces back. Now, it's like whether it goes back to all-time highs, who knows? It's obviously a 90% correction. So, really it just comes down to what the coins that you believe in. I can't tell you too much about Brett other than the chart looks set up to where it could make all-time highs, but it's not like, so much consolidation or like a dead giveaway. So for me, I would say if you still believe in Brett, you think there's still a good community, you still think it gets a chance, it gets listed on Coinbase, whatever it is, now would be the time you want to accumulate. Not when it's back at all-time highs, or not when it's max hype. now is the time you want to, right? I can't tell you if Brett's the right coin because I just haven't been keeping up with it. But generally, I'd say the advice I'd give you, or the what I would just say in general, is if you believe in Brett for whatever reason, like now is the time to accumulate, not when everybody's fucking hyping it up. Yeah, you're right. We're def leaving the 4 year cycle. Crypto just turning into SPX with a passive bid from TradFi. Yeah, 1,100 people in here who fucking love you guys so much, or at least 1,100 views. Somebody tag Elon and tell him to put a fucking what's it called, live viewers, so we can see the live viewership on here. But can you talk about Solana? Yeah, I talked a little bit about Sol earlier. I think Sol, just like Ethan in Bitcoin, is going to move higher. It's coiling up in the lower time frames. I think it's probably bottomed out here. We could see a bit of chop, but I think what we're seeing is just another mini version of this, and Bitcoin ETH Sol move up in the next several days or weeks. So I think the next big move for ETH Bitcoin Sol is to the upside. I'll just put it simply. Check Aura Farm. Yeah, let's check Aura Farm. Yep. Was about to. Aura Farm. One coin that I honestly have not bought, but seeing a lot of the people, a lot of friends of mine actually who bought it, and I think I think the narrative and stuff makes sense. It's some funny content. A coin that I still see a lot, even though it's kind of been correcting for a couple months here. I would say the same thing is kind of as Brett, except it has like it has a good solid corrective channel on like the mid time frames. I would say if you think Aura Farm has a lot of aura, no, if you think Aura Farm has a lot of mind share still, you think there's still a lot of community building, you think all the little things like that I haven't looked into. If you think those are all checking out, now would be the time to accumulate. I would say the chart looks corrective, which is a good sign. Best case scenario is that between here and this low, or maybe a little bit lower, or maybe just straight from here, it just rockets to all time highs. I would say you probably have some good tailwinds from like the overall market. I think is heating up. Overall meme coin market, I think is getting ready to rip. So chart looks good. You just if all the other little things check out, now's the time to accumulate. I would not wait until it's at back at all time highs. But also wouldn't be surprised if it chops down a little bit more too. If you somehow get this set up and it comes down one more time, that'd probably be a great setup to accumulate. So either way, chart looks pretty decent. Wouldn't be surprised to see this. I'm surprised it's only at 2 million for how much I've heard about it and how much I've seen it on the timeline from people like Shaw and a lot of these other guys. I'm surprised it's not actually higher than 2 million. So do with that is what you will. I don't know. Anything for you, Big Max. Yeah, let me find it. Um, x.com/Colts. Yeah, I'll look at that. Colts.fun. You're welcome, Big Brand. I'm always here for you, Big Bro. Or you, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, KTA. We'll look at that. Oh, snap, Boston, Brandy. Yes, sir. I love your Instagram videos. Thank you, brother. Yeah, we those Instagram videos. We have videos coming from my boy Can't Stop Me Now, who helps me with those, and then Bossman and I also have an editor who's been making some great videos as well, like these ones. Um, these ones right here, which are fucking sick. Been kind of churn out a lot of these ones, so doing a lot of these on Instagram as well. So yeah, definitely check out the Instagram. That would be epic. Love your explanations. Thanks, bro. It'd be legendary. Could also monetize it. Yeah, sent DMs. Link is not showing on the screen. Yeah, look at it right now. 11:41. I appreciate your time and stream too. Yeah, I appreciate you, Charles. Cheers, mate. Fucking Jeremy. Shout out to you in Australia. Yo, guys, go and let me know where you're at in the world. I like to I always like to see where the homies are at. I noticed in the analytics a lot of people from both the US, obviously. That's where I'm from. But you got Nigerians, a lot of Germans, a lot of more people from Morocco, which is pretty surprising. Tell me where you're at in the world, though. Also, thank Max for his strong and big wisdom. Yeah, Max is the best, man. 1K viewers, share it and Lego higher. Yes, sir. I think Brett stays. It's gonna keep pushing. I think. Hey, man, it's definitely possible. That's usually what happens at the end. At the end of these corrections, is that most things pop. Some things just go to all time highs. Some things don't. Some things pop and go back down. It really depends. I think Brett has a chance though. I'll look at Colts right now, bro. Can BTC and ETH maintain momentum if China or the EU tightens crypto? I I don't know, Bag Berserker. You can go ahead and tell me when you started crypto, but anybody who's been around since 2022, 2023, like you remember, I'm sorry, since like 2016, 2017, every single cycle and multiple times a cycle, China ban quote unquote bans crypto. Um, one time it was China banning miners, like whatever, and then you'll hear a couple months later that it's not. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's smoke screen. I don't like a smoke screen to manipulation. A lot of people, sometimes people put that out to bring Bitcoin price down. Who fucking knows what it is? But I would pay too much attention to that, man. Cat's out of the bag. Crypto's here to stay. Countries are getting ready to buy Bitcoin. I think all that shit's meaningless 5 years ago, and it's sure as hell meaningless now. Not to shit on what you're saying, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to China or EU or anybody who bans crypto or is taking themselves out of like, it's like people banning the internet in 2003. It's like, okay, like you're just like, do you just hate money type of thing? Like, I don't think too many people are going to do that. I think all these different countries are, most of them, the smart ones, are positioning themselves to capitalize or whatever off of crypto, not necessarily trying to ban it. If China's doing that, I think it's just manipulate, like not market manipulation, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. Elon, mate, how do we see live viewers on these streams? Yeah, right. I know, right? Um, but yeah, yeah, I know, but never show how it happened last week. Thanks, fam. Yep, video looks good. I just noticed it was on this thing. It's funny. But yeah, what's up? See if there's anybody commenting on this shit. Let's go, guys. Appreciate you, Charles. Um, Meme coins us NFTs preparing for blast off. Yeah, I don't miss a single one. Great as usual. Yeah, let me go ahead and pull that up. What you were saying, Colts dot fun.
Cause I got what you need. Hey, keep that shit low key. Whoa, don't tell all your friends. Why? Everybody want a piece. Whoa, damn, look, I'm smooth. Yeah. No crashing. Whoa. Vroom, vroom. Yeah. Can't catch this. Whoa. I'm smooth. Whoa. No crashing. Yeah. Vroom, vroom. Whoa. Can't catch this. Speed it up. Go, something like gadget. Big check straight to my ad. Back in the pic.
Interesting. So it gives them a personalized avatar. Now, is that avatar NFT? Is that an NFT, or you can tell me in the chat? I think that's interesting either way. It'll be interesting to see if any of the cults of the future are launched. Big cult coins of the future are launched on this right here. Either way, I'm just super fucking bullish on um, like all these different platforms, like Pump.fun. Like the more opportunities and the easier it is for people to launch tokens, I think is better for just tokenization in general and pushing along crypto and tokenization. So, you got the coin it thing from Coinbase, you got this, you got just different ways for people to spin up tokens. I think it's just the future. I think I'm fucking bullish on it. Yeah, the best in montage and all in all the best, Bren. Thank you, bro. Repping Nigeria. That's what's up. Brazil, New York, USA, Charleston, South Carolina, Nigeria, Nigeria, Atlanta, Georgia. I spent a few months in ATL. Actually, last summer. ATL's nice. Yeah, me and SME friend follow you in Morocco. Yes, 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 yes. I remember. Check out Wreath on ETH. They're working on a decentralized bond protocol for Ethereum. Wreath. Is it this one? Okay, so this just came out. Okay, not much I can tell you price action wise. Would be nice to see this come down and kind of chop for a few weeks or something, but I'll be keeping my eye on it for sure. I think anything that helps or at least has a narrative and bringing like tradfi like bonds like you said into crypto is probably something to pay attention to. I started not long ago, probably 6 months ago, working my way around. That's what's up, Bag Berserker. You're asking all the right questions, bro. Keep it pushing. Yeah, interesting. Hey guys, let's connect. A lot of interesting moments. Yeah, for sure, bro. Anything for you, Big Brand? I believe they have plans to turn them into an NFT, as they replied. Amazing, bro. Same here, bro. Super bullish on NFTs. Yeah, I think the red NFTs are gonna do well. I mean, is there any NFTs you guys are buying? Like, tell me, what are some of the people that were here in 2021 NFT like run? I want you to tell me what are some of the ones that you still hold right now. What were you trading? Like, are you still bullish on NFTs? Like, I want to get to know. Pudgies will win NFTs. Yeah, I mean, Pudgies will be one of the winners. I'll go ahead and tell you right now what I think. Mr. Yellow XBT. Who is that? What is your? Is it who I think it is? Mr. Yellow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know you, brother. Shot you that follow back, bro. I really appreciate the questions. I aped in around 1.7. I love NFTs. I just wish I didn't round trip the amount I did back in 21. Yeah, that infamous 21, like the infamous first bubble or bull run of any asset class, whether it's crypto, whatever. Like it's always explosive, but most shit dies. I think what's really interesting is I think what we're seeing with the crypto or the NFT bull run or bear market is 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 akin more to like what we saw in the .com bubble, where it took a few years to recover. Like we topped out, I think the .com bubble topped out in like 99 or 2000, came all the way down into like 2000. Let's just go and look at it. I'm not going to talk out of my ass. Let's go and look. Let's go to the SPX, just S&P 500, back in 2001. All the way fucking back. A lot of you motherfuckers weren't even born yet. A lot of you motherfuckers weren't even a fucking thought in your father's head. Nah, I'm playing. 2000. No, it's way too far back. Um, Let me see here. 2001. So yeah, it actually topped out the S&P 500 in 2000. Um, Came back down all the way, bottomed out in about '03. So from top to bottom, you're looking at around 3 years, right? So what did NFTs topped out in like 2021? A lot of them, I think stuff like VFriends double topped. I think in like 2022, and then came back all the way down into 2024. And I think a lot of these have bottomed out or close to it. So I think what we're seeing in NFTs is very akin to the .com bubble. And the same thing I think is going to happen is that most of the stuff in the .com bubble, most of those companies died and never came back. But you saw the Googles, the Amazons, the Nvidias, the Cisco's or whatever the fuck, like what I'm probably missing, some obvious ones that came out of it, took over the world, and they went on for like 20 or 30 years to like 100x. Like, for example, if you would have bought Google, back down in 2001. Google's not a good example because they I think Alphabet is a different company than it was when it was. We'll go to Amazon for example. I think Amazon for example. Let's see. Um, 2001. Yeah, it came all the way down from $5 all the way down to 50 cents. 90% correction, and then from there it went from 31 cents in 2001 to what is it at now? Fucking $205. So you'd be up more than 100x almost. Yeah, 10x. You'd be up 1,000x almost on Amazon if you would have held the last 24 years. Now, I think a lot of these NFTs, for me, VFriends, the biggest one. my biggest bet. But you're gonna see the Bored Apes, the Pudgies, the V Friends, CryptoPunks, obviously. A lot of these go on to make these kind of moves. Um, and I think it's because a lot of these are digital collectibles now, but in the future, I think are gonna offer a lot more than that. Um, they'll be kind of like a collectible hybrid, like mix like early investing in like a imagine for me. I mean, imagine if you could invest in like fucking Marvel or whatever Disney or whatever early on, and you're able to get early digital collectibles that gave you programmable utility, all these different stuff early on. You would buy the fuck out of that. Right now, I don't think people consider that there, but I think a lot of the next Marvels, Disney's, whatever, are going to come out of NFTs and the ones that are existing now. And the people who bought them early on are going to be fucking doing very well. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it. 1.23 viewers. Love to fucking see that. Hour 22 in. Share this shit with your friends. Again, I think, guys, I think crypto, everything's about to fucking rip, frankly. I think you want to get your bags packed now. Anybody who's like still apprehensive and telling you, oh, you should wait, and who are still checked out, like, yeah, that's cool. But if you want to set yourself apart, if you want to set yourself apart from the average person, like when everybody and their mom is trading crypto again in 6 months or years, 18 months from now, now is the time to plant your roots and invest in the good coins. Obviously, don't invest anything you can't afford to lose. Like, be very thoughtful. But now I think is the time to buy instead. Now is the time to consider looking at these different things and instead of waiting until everybody's hype. Surprised the NFTs have been bullish since 2021. That's amazing. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like V Friends, for example, and for me, I mean, V Friends is just an obvious bet for me, for a few reasons. But first, I just kind of addressed what you said. V Friends, for example, one of the bigger projects in 20. Why is it showing? Oh, it's because it's in USD. One of the bigger projects from 2021. One of the bigger projects from 2021. Okay. I want to go on OpenSea, I guess, because what am I typing in OpenSea on OpenSea? Holy shit. Uh, V Friends, for example. Bear with me here. Where's the chart? Where the fuck is the chart on the new OpenSea? Um, wow, wow. Where? Top right hand corner. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the chart is. Fuck. Where the fuck? Somebody tell me. Oh my god, I've been using Magic Eden too much. I haven't really experienced. It's probably an activity, no? Analytics. I don't fucking know. Holy shit. Either way, what I was gonna say is, V Friends, for example, one of like most projects, Board Apes are still down like 80% from the all time highs. Um, but yeah, I think they're gonna run here soon. Everyone is calling for complacency bounce. It's all right. I'm not worried about the chart. Everyone is calling for complacency bounce. Sentiment worse than ever I've ever seen. New all time highs coming very soon. Exactly, bro. I think what most people are right now is just checked out. They don't know what to believe. They have PTSD from both directions, right? Like they have PTSD from being bullish, and then they were everybody's panicking, and now we bounce. Like, I think people are just confused, and we this is not the first time we've seen this. It happens every single time we see these big corrections. Everybody checks out, price moves up, and then most people don't start aping in until everything's quote unquote certain. But by that time, there's way less gains to be had. So yeah, Pudgy Penguin, Sappy Seals, Board Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, V Friends, Goblin Town, just a few. Hell yeah, yeah, no, that's a good list. I'm super fucking bullish on V Friends. I think right now, obviously, I'm talking my own bags, but I generally think V Friends is the best long term opportunity in NFTs, but also right now, especially the Series 2 NFTs. For example, you have the Series 1 NFTs, which are like the original ones, like the original drawings by Gary V. The first ones right now they're at like 3,800. These are the ones that have gotten a lot of utility, and obviously they're going to be the main one. But there's the VFriend Series 2, which is a little different than a lot of these other uh secondary collections because there's 55,000 of them, right? Where a lot of these other collections have 20,000 collections, 30,000 collections. There's a lot of them, but it gives, I think, in a world where there's NFTs are very popular and tokens or whatever, 50,000 is not going to be a lot. But my whole point in saying this is a lot of these are still at 100, $200, 100, what's the floor at? 0.07, which right now is like $150. It's a low entry into a IP, to where I think a lot of people are missing with NFTs, where obviously CryptoPunks is more about the art, right? It's just going to be about the story and about the art. You have a lot of the other stuff that's art based, but with VFriends, Bored Apes, Pudgies, a lot of these other ones, it's about the IP. It's about the intellectual property behind it, right? It's about the VFriends IP. It's about the Bored Apes. It's about the Pudgies penguins themselves, and whether people are going to give a fuck about the actual IP, like in the mainstream, right? If it becomes the next Marvel or the Disney or whatever, like that's what matters long term and what's going to bring these things value, like a lot of value long term. And most people aren't realizing that it's not necessarily about the art, but it's about the intellectual property behind the NFTs, and most of all, the operator, in this case Gary Vaynerchuk, their ability to make people give a fuck about it through their different connections or whatever, their ability to operate, right? And that's why I'm so fucking bullish on VFriends, is because Gary V is my probably my all-time favorite content creator, like person online in general. He's just been so impactful in my life for the last 10 years. I've been you know been watching his content, like just his whole stuff on patience and his video. Definitely go check it out if you haven't already. It's called Overnight Success, and he talks about how he didn't make a piece of content. He built his family's store, is just a store for his a business for his family for many years, and didn't post a piece of content until he was like 31, 32 years old, whatever, and just talks about patience. And almost nobody's an overnight success. Even people who are fucking basketball players who make it to the NBA at 18, like they worked hard for multiple years, whatever. My whole point in saying this is he's a great operator, but I think his content and these different traits in the V Friends are going to be very, very influential and impactful with kids and a lot of other people. So for me, V Friends is just a no brainer. I think very undervalued. I think personally are going to be up there in the top two or three in NFTs and floor prices, up there with the the punks and whatever else is up there at that time. So whatever. Study the NFT market. I think it's coming back. But if you're looking for a great community, a great most undervalued play, I think VFriends is it. And I think it might not. Last thing, I might not be cool among quote unquote cool amongst a lot of people, but I think in the NFT space, especially amongst young people. But what I think is cool is fucking winning. I think what is cool is uh, being early involved with an IP that not only has like a great operator but great community, and like something super fucking early that I think is not only gonna mog like everything in the NFT space floor price wise, but I think the IP is really gonna make a fucking huge impact on the world and kids and like a bunch of other shit. So I'm extremely fucking bullish. Joe on ETH, yeah, I think Joe on ETH's gonna do well. Best thing about VFriends is the man behind the brand at face, not a hidden team. Yeah, Gary's. Yeah. Gary V goaded for real. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, somebody called me. Uh, but uh, but yeah, 1 second here. But yeah, about an hour and 30 in. I'm gonna get off here in probably 10, 15, maybe 10 minutes. But 1,200 fucking people on here at some point in a time where market's pretty slow. Shout out to you guys for real. Um, like I said, I'll get off 5, 10 minutes from now, but we'll be back again on Friday at 10 a.m. PST. Gonna cover fucking everything that's going on in the market. Gonna be analysis, NFTs, memes, whatever is fucking happening in crypto. We're gonna cover every single day. We're gonna give you your thoughts, opinions. I want to hear from you guys. Literally, if there was not a chat, if there's not you guys there, like I wouldn't be doing these things. So I fucking, you know, this is for you, this is for me. But I really fuck with you guys being on here, and make sure next week come with your comments, questions, chart requests, whatever the fuck you want us to look at. Um, and any, like I said, any suggestions. I just want this stream to be great as best as it can, and I'm just fucking blessed that 1,300 people have even viewed this at all. It's a dream come true. How might AI driven NFTs like programmable art or game assets increase their value? That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that too much, but I'd imagine AI will play a big part in gaming and NFTs and stuff in general. How will it increase their value? I'm sure. Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, man. That's profound. I assume AI is gonna be a big part of NFTs. I'm sure it'll make it where the NFTs maybe come alive and maybe you can talk to them and different shit like that. But how is it gonna make it more valuable? I haven't really thought about. That's actually really profound. I'll have to think about that. The stream is so interesting and amazing. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and do that giveaway super quickly here. Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna do that giveaway. I'm gonna do one right now to the chat, and then after, I'm gonna go ahead and pick somebody who commented on someone from the comments of this post right here, not that post. Sorry, the stream post. This one right here. From the comments of this, 24 people on there right now, so you probably got a good chance. So I'll go ahead and do that in the next few hours. But the person from the chat that I want to pick today, who I think asked fucking amazing questions, um, is, let's go ahead and get it to Bag Berserker. You've been asking great questions today, so gonna get to that. Go ahead and send me your soul address. I have a few other giveaways I need to fulfill today, so I'm gonna go ahead and knock those all out at once. So Bag Berserker, send me your soul USDC or just your soul address. I'll go ahead and send you 100 USDC. Again, thank you so much for the amazing questions. I appreciate you guys all for contributing to the stream. Again, be back on Friday, 10 a.m. PST for another one. But yeah, just stay patient. I think Bitcoin's about to fucking rip here. And everything should follow. I think what's likely to happen is, instead of the last run here last year where we just kind of ran from June to September, I think this one lasts longer, and we probably probably have quite a run in front of us. So obviously anything can happen, but all signs pointing to up, big up for crypto. So I'm just holding steady. I'm just buying my usual memes, can take profits on the way up, and yeah, just enjoy the next few months. I think we're just getting started here. I think now is the time to be bullish. Now is the time to double down on learning first and foremost. It's a process. Time in the game is literally the most important asset you can ever have. I know so many people who aren't even the brightest, but they've understand these concepts of patience and buying and holding and all these different things that most people can only gain through experience. So keep going, keep learning, give yourself a few years. And I'm telling you, if you can build the skills, whether that be charts or wallet tracking or whatever the fuck that may be for you, you'll be able to print like forever, like as long as there's cryptos around. So focus on the learning, focus on whatever else. If you're in these streams now, just consider yourself like, you're ahead of the crowd because you're actually give a fuck when price is not going up. So with that, guys, I don't want to go on too long. I'll see you guys on Friday. Have an amazing rest of your week. Until then, be safe, stay patient, and I'll see you on the next one.